Today on the podcast, I want to bring you a really interesting AI story, and it's kind of funny. I definitely relate to it in some ways, but essentially it is that the founder of Hungryroot is coming out with a new app called Every, and essentially this is an AI-powered app for self-reflection and human connection. Now, what I wanted to do is talk a little bit about what is in this app because it's very interesting. But I think honestly, like one of the bigger stories is that the founder of Hungryroot, now for those that don't know what Hungryroot is, because I'm going to be completely honest, this wasn't something I was super familiar with before kind of looking up this story or working on the story. But essentially, Hungryroot raised about $40 million in its latest round from L. Catterton. And this, when it did this latest round, it was valued at $750 million. So they're close to $1 billion valuation. There's a whole bunch of reports that came out of Bloomberg that was essentially saying that. And a lot of people are saying that this is kind of the next big IPO-ready company. Hungryroot has increased its revenue 47% to around $230 million in revenue that it did in 2022. And so, I think essentially this is a company that is growing. Some people say its valuation is about $1 billion, but in any case, this is a grocery delivery startup. And yeah, it's just very popular. A lot of people say they're going to do an IPO. We just saw, of course, some other grocery delivery startup IPOs, Instacart particularly IPO. That IPO didn't exactly go well. They IPO'd at like $33. We're like a month away, maybe like a week away or something, a couple weeks away, and it's already down to $24. So significant, like, and when you're talking about, these multi-billion-dollar companies, that is like some significant valuation that has just been wiped out of it. So I think what's interesting right now is that, of course, we're seeing Hungryroot, this founder of this, who, it was on the verge of this massive IPO and this big, huge company, all of a sudden he's starting to look at doing like a side project. And I just think that's so funny. So in any case, we're going to dive into what this whole company is all about, what they're doing, what this new side project is, why he thinks it's so important, and everything else. But let's get into it. Welcome to the world's #1 AI podcast, AI Chat. I'm your host, Jaden Schaefer. If you've been following the podcast for a while, you'll know that over the last 6 months, I've been working on a stealth AI startup. Of the hundreds of projects I've covered, this is the one that I believe has the greatest potential. So today I'm excited to announce AIBox. AIBox is a no-code AI app building platform paired with the App Store for AI that lets you monetize your AI tools. The platform lets you build apps by linking together AI models like ChatGPT, Midjourney, and 11 Labs. Eventually will integrate with software like Gmail, Trello, and Salesforce, so you can use AI to automate every function in your organization. To get notified when we launch and be one of the first to build on the platform, you can join the waitlist at aibox.ai. The link is in the show notes. We are currently raising a seed round of funding. If you're an investor that is focused on disruptive tech, I'd love to tell you more about the platform. You can reach out to me at jaden@aibox.ai. I'll leave that email in the show notes. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? I record and publish podcasts on a platform called Spotify for Podcasters, and I absolutely love it. Essentially, you can upload from your phone or computer, and it distributes to every platform that plays podcasts. They support video podcasts, and you can make money on the platform with ads or even podcast subscriptions, something that has made my life so much easier as a podcaster. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you give it a try. You can download the Spotify for Podcast app or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your podcast today. So Ben McKean is the driving force behind the healthy grocery delivery service, which is Hungryroot. Gave you a little brief on the intro. And he is no stranger to, the power of AI in business. I think with his recent jump into his new venture, Every, McKean intends to essentially harness AI in an entirely new realm, which is to, quote unquote, foster profound personal relationships and uncover shared experiences. So at its heart, Every is kind of a unique iOS application that taps into AI's potential to craft, quote unquote, thought-provoking games. This is kind of funny, but essentially, it's a cool concept, and it's essentially geared towards self-exploration. One game is called Inner Odyssey, and essentially it immerses a user in a kind of visual narrative, prompting them to select an image or a place they want to discover. So it's like, of these two, like I saw like a picture and it was like, one of them looked like some street in Rome and some was like another place. And it's like, of these two pictures, which of these places would you want to like discover more? And so as a user kind of navigates through these choices, this or that, and like subsequent queries, they essentially get insights into how often or how other people have answered the same questions, and it gives them light on, shared perspectives and experiences that other people have, which is kind of interesting, right? Like they ask you, would you rather this or that, to a whole bunch of things, and are like, oh, well, 20% of people are like think the same way as you, and this percent don't, and here's a bunch of people that like relate to you or are like similar. So I think the inspiration behind every kind of stems from this realization during the pandemic and like isolation that came from it of, quote, the feeling of disconnect was palpable, even among close acquaintances. A staggering 58% of Americans sense that nobody truly understands them, end quote. So that was their CEO, of course, McKean. He was kind of pointing this out, referencing this kind of alarming societal detachment statistic. But I think, Every is not just about individual introspection. McKean kind of envisions potential applications within the corporate sphere, facilitating connections among like colleagues. Of course, it's going to be a little bit more toned down when it comes to like the personal inquiries and stuff. I think in what might come as a surprise to a lot of people, Every's intricate games are kind of the offspring of advanced AI. Of course, this is courtesy of things like OpenAI and Midjourney that are kind of baked into this. So these AI-driven narratives are sparked by specific themes or individuals. What's cool is that this isn't just like an auto-generated quiz, right? This isn't just like a complex quiz app, which is like, do you want this picture, that picture, this like answer, that answer? Like as you go throughout it, everything's customized to you personally, and it's AI that's generating it, meaning it's really completely unique. And so what you're discovering on this app is going to be different than other people, which is kind of a cool aspect. Sometimes when I see these kind of apps, though, I like ask myself, could this just be a complex this or that quiz? Like, does it have to be generative AI to do this? And I know that there's some like cool aspects to it, but I don't know. I ask myself that question because obviously it costs more money to have generative AI generating this every single time. And so it's like, you just have to ask yourself, like, is it necessary to do this? But in any case, I digress. I think one of the collaborations is with Hector Guadalupe. That's the founder of A Second You Foundation, and they're utilizing Guadalupe's input. So the AI crafts games centered around skills crucial for reigniting reintegration post-incarceration, right? So after people come out of prison, some of the skills they need, and this game is slated for an October 25th release. So it's kind of like a game if you get out of prison to help you find your way in life. It's kind of an interesting concept, right? I think while the AI is predominantly autonomous, it generated content that's, completely created by AI, but human intervention remains a bit of a cornerstone, they said. So given the AI's training duration of about 6 months, Midjourney then completes these AI generative narratives with a bunch of visuals. And I think in keeping with its kind of moniker, Every has an ambitious goal of launching a new game daily, which, I mean, if it's all generated by AI, I don't think that's too like out of the ordinary, with each weekday symbolizing distinct themes. So while Mondays might go into like career aspirations, Sunday could give more philosophical kind of things. After each gameplay, users receive curated inspirational content tailored to their responses. They have a maps feature, which kind of further extends the personalization journey, charting out users' traits derived from in-game scores, which is kind of an interesting concept again. Beyond individual enlightenment, Every's kind of broader mission is fostering genuine connections. So through shared gameplay experiences, users can kind of like discover shared interests or values. And the idea is that this is going to create deeper conversations and relationships. The Every app is the kind of the collaborative brainchild of Ben McKern, right, the CEO, but also Sarah McKern and Maya Valiath. What's interesting is all of the development for this was actually executed by external agency, and it has been in beta since March. So Every has now made its official debut on the App Store. It's available for free in, I think it doesn't have any in-app purchases, so it's completely free. While it's currently operating as a nonprofit side project, McKean hasn't ruled out the prospects of expanding Every, potentially, looking for investors and, seeing what interest this thing has in the future. So I think what's the most interesting part of this whole story to me really is the fact that here we have the founder of an incredibly successful company, right? It's doing like over $200 million in revenue every year. It's at close to $1 billion valuation. And he's still, when AI comes around, gets so excited that he's like, coming up with AI side projects that are completely unrelated to his company, that his investors in his current company don't have any equity in. It's kind of funny because I definitely see this with a lot of founders. They'll be working on something and then they get this shiny object syndrome. They see this new this new tool or idea and they kind of go and focus on that. So to be honest, for me, this was a big part of the current startup I'm working on. AI Box I was definitely having some sort of AI shiny object syndrome. I was thinking of all these different use cases, all these different tools for AI. And it got to the point for myself where I was like, there's no way I can build this 20, 30, 40 different AI tools that I'm thinking of right now. I'm like, I really just need to build a platform where you can create all of these different tools on the platform. And I realized, there's no way I could create all of the AI use cases that existed. This needs to be a platform where I allow you guys, other people to create these AI tools. And so that's kind of where I got started building out AI Box and what I've been working on for the last year. So it's kind of funny because it's definitely relatable. Just when you get these ideas that are, in your head of these really cool use cases, you might be like deep within another company, but you really want to get them out. And so for me, that's what AI Box is all about. There's so many of you that I know work at big AI startups or big software companies or other places or just your own companies, small businesses, all sorts of places. You have these great AI ideas. They might not even be like exactly what your current business is. So really building a space for you and also myself, right? I'm building this as I am the user, a place to build AI tools while you might be pursuing your other endeavors is kind of really interesting. And we're obviously seeing this from a big, huge company like Hungryroot, seeing this exact same thing play out. So Hungryroot, very interesting. I'll be curious to see how Every plays out, what kind of traction they receive, but definitely an interesting story and a lot of relatable aspects.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. That's the sound of switching your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling. Harness the best converting checkout and same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Stop leaving sales on the table. Discover why millions trust Shopify to build, grow, and run their business. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech23.
This episode is brought to you by Klaviyo, the platform that powers smarter digital relationships. With Klaviyo, you can activate all your customer data in real time, connect seamlessly with your customers across all channels, guide your marketing strategy with AI-powered insights, recommendations, and automated assistance, deliver experiences that feel individually designed at scale, and grow your business faster. Power smarter digital relationships with Klaviyo. Learn more at klaviyo.com/Spotify. That's KLAVIYO.com/Spotify.
Thank you for listening to the AI Chat Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, I'd appreciate it if you rate me wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're looking for an innovative group of AI enthusiasts, make sure you check out our Discord channel and also our Facebook community. It's obviously a lot more interactive than a podcast where we can actually share software tools, prompts that we're using in everyday AI. I'll leave a link for those in the description below.